Shalom. Giving all praise to Yahweh, Bashem, El Shai, Bashem, Kakodah, Shalom to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. And I'm going to entitle this video, What's the GMS Israelites Take on James 5? Now, we did if you saw the live that we did last night, Saturday night, because we started at around 7 or so. Anyway, I had mentioned this and I went to this, but I didn't get a chance to read it. I think I read like about up to here. You know what it says within GMS Great Millstone, Hebrew Israelites teaching. James 5 is read very naturally and prophetically, not as a general Christian moral lesson. Here's the breakdown of how they usually handle it. And I'm going to ask another question, Most High willing. Okay. I'm going to ask, I was watching the video that Apostle Ramlob, where are we? Or as we affectionately call him, Apostle Rum Lover. Inside joke, if you don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, what the hell? Give me a second here. Okay, so let me just, you know what I'm gonna do? Yeah, let me just play it right from where it is. Let me come back a little bit, because I just started listening to this and then I went into my thing. Through the power of the Spirit of Yahweh, Bashem, El Shai.
It's taxing on your spirit. You know? So your whole desire is for the kingdom of heaven to be established as the Lord Yahweh Bashem El Shai promised. You know? That the world that's coming is going to be ruled in righteousness under Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Bashem El Shai, and the Israelites. So that was it on that. Now let's go Daniel 2:44. And in the days of these kings shall the power of heaven set up a kingdom. And this is the point we're at. Because the time that the Lord will set up his kingdom, there would be turmoil. There would be a lot of stuff going on. Because one thing that people try to say, the reason why we're not at the end of the world, which they're bugged out for saying that, is because, you know, there have always been famines. There's always been pestilence. There's always been...
Of course. There's always been... So there's got to be an end to it. I mean, what are you going to do? 100 years from now, people say the end of the world is coming. No. There comes a time. Let me give you an analogy. If you're on a highway and you're going from one state to another, 5 states down, and you haven't got to the state and you say we're never going to get there because we're still on the road, that doesn't make... You kick them out the car. You get out the car, man. Hitchhike or something. That's stupid. They've been right for generations. They've been talking about the end, even going back 2,000 years ago with the apostles. They were the first thing that the apostles questioned the Lord on is, so you coming back now? You're going to take the Romans down? And he said, no, it's not for your time. No, it's not the time. Even the Apostle Paul said in what is that? 2 Thessalonians 2. He said there must be a falling away first. And what he was talking about was the Romans coming in and taking you down. 70 AD, key year. And that's been going on. That's been a buildup since Nero. We're talking about 64. 64, he burnt down Rome. He said had Rome burnt down, and he blamed it on the Christians and the Israelites. So that was 74 going into this 74, 75, yeah, up until 70, going into 74 with Masada. That's what Paul was talking about. He said that's got to come first, and then we're going to have to die and come back. So now is the time. This is the generation. Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21. This is that generation. Where in ancient history have you ever heard of a thing called a world war? Where you got 10 nations fighting each other. That only happened in the 1900s, which is the beginning of the 20th century. You had World War I, which consists of many nations. All you got to do is how many nations were involved in World War I. Then you go to World War II. It was also a war of multiple nations. So the Lord said, when you see these things happen, know that the end is not yet, but it's drawing nigh. So we're talking World War I is almost 120 years ago. Slavery. We had to fulfill the prophecy of being brought over here in slave ships. So for you to say, well, see, the Lord, it ain't coming, see this, every time shit goes off, y'all say this ain't gonna come, see? There's a fucking time when it ain't gonna come. Anyway, let's listen on.
Wars has always been this and that and other earthquakes.
But it hasn't been like it is now. It hasn't been 1800s. You never heard of a thing. 18, 17, 1600, 1400. Never been a thing called a world war. And then earthquakes. Matter of fact, let me do this. No, let me see. Most popular textures. Let me do this here. How many earthquakes took place in the year 2025 around the world? Okay, it said there are going to be earthquakes, multiple earthquakes, right? In 2025, Earth experienced over 677,000 earthquakes worldwide, ranging from magnitude 2 up to 8.8, reflecting constant, significant global seismic activity. So if you go back to 2,000 years ago, we didn't have earthquakes every time you turned around. They said there's going to be earthquakes, and they don't even report this. That's a crazy number. That's more than 500,000 earthquakes. You have I experienced a tremor. I was doing a video, and I experienced a tremor, and I thought it was some machinery. I know the whole building shook. And I said, no, that can't be an earthquake. I went to the news and said, is there an earthquake in the New York area? And they said, yeah. And it was the epicenter was in Jersey. So it went from Jersey. It was South Jersey. So that's about hour and change away from like New York City. I'm not talking about just going across to Jersey, across the river. I'm talking about South Jersey. And it shook all the way up here. The way I lived, the whole building shook. And I got fucking a little nervous. It shook for about maybe 15 seconds. So anyway, and it's very, very, very rare that you got earthquakes in New York. So what the hell are y'all talking about? So let me see. Let me come back over here. Okay, let's go on back. Yeah, that's why when we talk to people about this truth, if they can't respond to it, then you just leave them alone. You don't come bend over backwards and make these people get it. And don't be like Captain Desire. I hate to get on Captain Desire. Captain Desire, he loves him. He loves that song. What's the name? I was just listening to it. Damn. She sung that song. Tony Braxton. She sung that song. I love me some him. Well, Captain Desire love him some Christians. He loves being around Christians, boy. Now I can't stand being around Christians.
You know, so what's so different about these times? Well, what's different about these times is that we're in a great time of technology, a great technological, you know, advancement in the world. And all of these prophecies are coming out in clusters, in bunches, not separate times. And a 10-year period, then it lays dormant for 20 years or 30 years or 40 years, and something else comes up. No, it's something that's
Right, like
continuous.
the earthquakes. Let's go back to the earthquakes. We're talking almost 700,000 earthquakes. 700,000. Half of 700,000 is 300. What is it? 700,000. 350,000. 150. So we're talking about 150,000 in 3 months when you average it off. 150,000. So in 1 month you got 50,000 earthquakes going on. In a month, 25,000 every 2 weeks, 12,000 every week, approximately. So y'all people just don't understand.
You know, and there's, you know, prophecies in bunches and clusters, constantly happening, constantly moving around, constantly setting up the system that's going to implement the MOTB. And that's why we're at a great time of prophecy. So it says, which shall never be destroyed. So I don't know what the hell Nate is talking about. And them two magpies, well, one of them anyway, one time said that God is gonna. No, I think it was the light-skinned magpie. I think he's the one that said, or was it the bald-head magpie? I forget which one it was. Yeah, I think it was the bald-head magpie that said that, you know, that Russia is gonna rule for a little while, you know, after, or some crazy shit like that. I remember them saying something like that.
Oh, you're talking about these two guys, the Genesis guy. Well, they did a short saying that the beast is a big robot, so you know they're going off. I was watching it. I came across it yesterday. I'm talking about the two guys. I'm talking about Hakar and Hassad. Hakar did a short, and he was showing using AI, and he said the beast could possibly be a big, gigantic robot. So we know the deal about them too.
It says, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. Point blank, period. There's going to be no uprisings in the kingdom from any nation, ever. And even if they thought about doing some shit like that, we're going to be on their ass. But it shall break in pieces. Well, never mind us, Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Bottom line. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it break in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, these are all the empires, and the gold. And America happens to be the final leg of the Iron Empire, which is the Roman Empire. It says, the great power have made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure. So we have a more sure word of prophecy. And that's why you see brothers, you know, going hard and going harder, because, you know, we see the day approaching. You know, the day, as the day is approaching, you don't slack up. You know, you tighten up. You don't lighten up. You know, it's time to really, you know, put those talents out there to use. So let's go from there. And let's go to the chat, because I asked the question, is Yahweh Shai's kingdom close? That depends on a lot. That depends a lot on who you ask and how they understand it. In many faith traditions that use the name Yahweh Shai, often linked to Yahshua or Jesus, which his name is Yahweh Shai, these are not his name. It says the idea that the kingdom is near is understood in a few different ways. And that's why the scriptures say that there's no private interpretation. So, but you have these devils that have set up and established plantation Christianity.
Yeah, there's one way to break down the scriptures, not 50 ways, not 20 ways, not 250 ways. So why would you even think of having a debate with a Christian or anybody that claims we come to the point where none of these people know the scriptures. So why argue with them?
Christianity / Renaissance Christianity, and they're the ones that are giving out, you know, what's accepted as dogma or doctrine or not, and we don't recognize your authority. Point blank. Period. Spiritually present now. Some believe the kingdom is already active wherever people live by righteousness, justice, and obedience to the Most High. In that sense, it's always close, and that only applies to the Israelites. Because when Yahweh said the kingdom of heaven is within you, he was talking to Israelites. He wasn't talking to heathens. And the heathens don't live righteously as far as, you know, the keeping of the law, statutes, and commandments. Now, do they do certain things among themselves that, you know, behave themselves benevolent among themselves? Yeah. You know, there are certain traits of these nations that they have that, you know, that are commendable. But that's about it. It says future and literal. Yes. Others believe a visible earthly kingdom is still coming, and that current world conditions are signs pointing towards it. And this is exactly what it is. Being futurist, you know. Both a common view is already, but not yet. The kingdom has begun, but its full manifestation is still ahead. And the kingdom of heaven, which lies within us, is what? This knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And then through this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and us going out there constantly preaching the word, you know, the prophets telling them what's going and what's coming on, what's happening, you know, it's bringing this system and empire to an end, because once the words of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua are spoken in their true form and their true breakdown, it takes effect on the planet. It takes effect on these different empires. It starts to, you know, destroy and break down these different empires. So the words of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua are systematically breaking down Esau's kingdom and the kingdom of the nations, of the heathens. So it says, historically, people in every generation have felt that the kingdom was close, but because the world always has turmoil, injustice, and change, Scripture itself also emphasizes that no one knows the exact time, only that people should stay watchful and prepared. Right. And but what are they to be watchful of? You know, it's one thing to say, to give time, but then there's another thing to say, well, look at the signs. The signs are pointing that we're coming to the end of the world. If you're asking from a faith or personal conviction angle, the more important question may...
Preemies. In 2nd Ezra 6, it speaks about preemies. Speaking 2-3 months before a year. There's a video of little Jake baby, newborn baby. I think the baby was 3 months old. It was actually speaking. It was mimicking the older sister or the mother would say a phrase and the baby would repeat it. That's how you learn how to speak anyway. You mimic what people say, and then you understand what you're saying. So we in preemies, also meaning incubator babies that have to premature. They got to be raised up in incubators and so forth.
Many teachers focus on is it close, but am I aligned with it? Yeah, but that's a part of it. But you're gonna also, is it close? Because if you're gonna ask, is it close? Then of course you're gonna make sure that you're aligned with it. You know, you fall in line with all the criteria. Now, I typed in Revelation 11:15, and the seventh angel sounded. I didn't say anything. I just said, and the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world, which are the heathen kingdoms, are become the kingdoms of our Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and of his anointed, and he shall reign forever and ever, just as we read in Daniel 2:44 and 45.
Which is a feudal system. Every system ultimately is a feudal system, where you have the lords, you have the vassals, and you have the serfs. Fiefdom.
Yeah, that verse is central to the belief that the kingdom is imminent. And that's what I'm asking. I didn't give a time. I said, is it close? It says, Revelation 11:15 is describing a transfer of authority. And that's exactly what we're witnessing right now. But the problem is that these heathen empires think that the transfer of authority is going to be given to China or Russia, you know, or some other nation out there, you know, that is going to take over the head position as rulers of the world. And that's not the case. Yahweh's kingdom is imminent. The all the signs are there. The handwriting is on the wall. So Ecclesiasticus 10 and 8, because of unrighteous dealings, which is happening, injuries, which is happening, and riches got by deceit. Right there, we can close the book. The kingdom is translated from one people to another, and that's what we're seeing right now, the transfer of power and wealth from the Edomite empire, which is the final empire, to Yahweh's kingdom / Yasha Allah's kingdom, which is Israel. So going back to the chat, it says, the kingdoms of this world have become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his anointed, and he shall reign forever and ever. A few key points most teachers pull from this. This is not symbolic fluff. It's a declaration of takeover. Exactly. That's what Yahweh is coming to do. That's why I said I will not meet thee as a man. Because the prophecy clearly states that no one is able to make war with the beast. And you can see that even though America is losing its lackluster, even though it's losing, its influence on the world, it still has that military might that is still a force to be reckoned with. Got them so bugged out that they're even huffing and puffing at their allies, which could all be just fluff, which could all be just staged, a psyop. It could just be all that, just to keep throwing the world into turmoil and chaos, because the people are already desperate because of the economy and because they can't, keep up with their bills. So to bring in wars and, and stir up the pot against your allies could be more fodder or more, fuel for the fire, to get the people into more of a chaotic, desperate mind state to be able to accept the New World Order that they're bringing in. And they're talking about the New World Order openly at the West. So it says, this is not symbolic fluff, it's a declaration of takeover. The language is political and absolute. Kingdoms, plural, of this world are replaced. That implies earthly governments lose authority, because Yahweh is coming to establish his government. Yahweh Shai's government. Yahweh's rule becomes global, not just spiritual. See? The seventh trumpet marks a turning point. In Revelation, trumpets equal escalation. By the seventh, judgment is no longer pending. See? Because it says here in Job chapter 5, Job chapter 5 and verse 19, he shall deliver thee in 6 troubles. Yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. Because by the 7th trumpet, once the 7th trumpet blows, that's all I'm going to say inside Job. But once the 7th trumpet blows, the feet of the elect have to be off the soils of America.
Yeah, let me just give you a little precept that just came to mind. I'll read it in the Amplified, maybe even in NLT, because y'all know it y'all familiar with it as far as the King James goes. See, Job or Job 5. Okay, this is not it's not from the first verse. I'm just looking at the first verse. Call now if there be any that will answer thee, in which the saints will thou turn. I'm sorry, let me just go right to the point. Because he said our feet got to be off the ground, meaning going up, being beamed up in the 7th trump. That's when the missiles come. Okay, I'll start at the 11th verse, and I said I was going to read it in the matter of fact, I'll do this Amplified. Okay, here we go. Okay. Anyway, Job 5 and 11 in the Amplified. Sometimes we go to the NLT. So that he sets on high those who are lowly, and he lifts to safety those who mourn. So who are the lowly and who are the mourn? We are. The elect of Israel and Israel. He frustrates the devices of the schemes of the crafty, so that their hands cannot attain success or achieve anything of lasting worth. Because they're planning on celebrating the pinnacle of the New World Order, because the New World Order is an agenda. An agenda is a list of things you got to do in a certain order that may last 10 years. You said by 10, like you might have a guy come out of college, he's a lawyer. He says, I want to be a lawyer to the stars, and my agenda is to be a multi-millionaire inside of 10 years, whatever the case may be. Boxers, they turned pro. They're good. They were great amateurs. They had 100 plus fight, 200 fights in the amateurs. Maybe won a couple of, maybe was number one in the nation. Maybe went to the Olympic trial. Maybe won a gold medal. So now they have a pro career, and the agenda is to start off with the 4-rounders. You fight maybe four rounders, go to the 6-rounders, go to the 8-rounders, 10-rounders, 12-rounders. Look for a regional belt, then get the championship, and then get some. After you get the championship, you want to get some big pay-per-view main events, and that all those fights, that one fight, that main event fight, you might get $50 million, and you might beat the guy, the A side guy. So you're the A side. So the next fight could be 100. That's what Terrence is doing. He said, I'm retiring. I know exactly why he did it. Because he retired number one. Even Usyk said that. They said, Usyk, you're not. He said, no, man, not number one. They got the Russian guy the Ukrainian dude to be beating everybody's ass. That nigga's special. He said, I'm not number one. He said, Terrence. All them Russians say Terrence is number one. And guess what? Floyd will still kick his ass. Floyd will still kick his ass. Old ass Floyd will still kick his ass. I'll say, jokingly, because he's damn near 50, but he'll still kick his ass. Too many tricks up his sleeve, It says he frustrates the devices and schemes of the crafty, so that their hands cannot attain success or achieve anything of lasting worth. Right. The triumphing of the wicked is short. That's also in the same chapter. The triumphing of the wicked is short, so that he cannot attain success or achieve anything of lasting worth. The kingdom that the Most High is going to give us is going to be of lasting worth. It says he catches the so-called wise in their own shrewdness. The wise are the Elamite, the elites. They're known as the illuminated ones. We are the illuminated ones too. That means the light goes off in your head. And the advice of the devious is quickly thwarted. We thwarted their attempts. And the time they meet in darkness, right, they in secret places, have those secret meetings, and at noon they grope as in the night. But the Most High saved the innocent from the sword of the mouth of the devious or the devil. and the poor from the hand of the mighty. That's talking about Israelites. So the helpless have hope. We are the helpless, right? We have no help, because vain is the help of man. That's a psalm. Give us help from the trouble, for vain is the help of man. You had to do the Paul Bird song with the big gun, the big Gatling gun, damn near what it looked like. Talking about he gonna safe light repair, safe light replace, and all these jakes are saying this nigga ain't a real Black Panther guy, you know. It says and injustice shuts its mouth. So the helpless have hope. We have hope, and injustice shuts its mouth. Who are the unjust, the unjust? That's these devils, these elites. Behold, how happy and fortunate is the man whom the Most High reproves. When you reprove your kid, what do? You punish him. You spank him, give him time out, whatever. So what was part of the reprove? We went into slave ships, we came over into slavery. The Romans took us down. That's the reproof. The Most High was whipping us. What is that? Psalm 17, if I'm not mistaken, which is thy sword. I'm not going to go to it. It says, so do not despise or reject the discipline of the Almighty. Don't get mad at it. Just take it. Suck it up. Subjecting you to trial and suffering. Remember, I said this, and I'm going to continue to say that the mark of the beast is not Esau's technology. It's the Most High's technology. He gave it. He like Jeshua said, he gave it to them. 18. For he inflicts pain, but he binds up and gives relief. That's the Most High. He wounds, but his hands also heal. What comes to mind? Hosea 6:2. After 3 days, right? After 2 days, and the third day we shall be in his sight. We're in the third day. He will rescue you from 6 troubles. The Apostle Ramlab said, the 7th trumpet, we got to be our feet got to be off the ground, meaning we got to be getting beamed up, right? He will rescue you from 6 troubles, even in 7. Evil will not touch you. In famine, he will redeem you from death. There's going to be a famine in the land. People are going to be starving. Second Ezra 15 and 2nd Ezra 16. Isaiah 65 and 9 on down. You can read that whole chapter. It said we're going to eat. The Most High servant's going to eat. It said we're going to laugh for joy. In famine, he will buy you back from death. So we're going to be taken care of. Go back to 2nd Ezra 15, around about the 56, 57, 58 verse or so. Those preppers, they're going to go up in the mountains, right? And so we got enough food for 6 months. Well, guess what? What if all hell breaks loose and you got to be up there for a year? You're going to run out of food. You're going to run out of water. You're going to run out of things. And then you're going to commit to the act of cannibalism. It's going to happen if it's not happening right now. At the South at one time, before the slaves came over here, Jake changed the whole economy with free labor. He changed the whole economy. Because back then, it was so bad that Edomites were eating themselves. Them slave masters, when they had Jake, they were cooking certain Jakes and eating them. Now, but they're not devils. There's a book, I believe it's on, you can hear it on YouTube, the whole book. It's called A Delectable Negro. And it's about Edomite slave owners cooking and eating their slaves with the family. You sitting down eating up the slaves. They don't speak about that because that's a shameful part of Esau's history, because they didn't have to eat. They wasn't starving. It was delectable. It was a delicacy. It was a delicacy to eat a nigger. Remember they had them candies, sugar daddies and sugar babies? I remember that. They were a little Negro, then a little Negro baby. That was cannibalism right there. Sugar daddies and sugar babies. Because they said a nigga tastes sweet. When you cook them right. But that actually have laughing, but it's not a laughing matter. It said you will be hidden from the scourge of the tongue, and you will not be afraid of destruction when it comes. What destruction? The missiles, ultimately. You will laugh at violence and famine, and you will not be afraid of the wild beasts of the earth. Because when we're delivered and we go into the wilderness, we're going to have spiritual power. We're going to be in league with the beasts. That's what the scripture says. For you will be in harmony with the stones of the fields, and the beasts of the field will be at peace with you. They're going to be at peace with your children. That's in Isaiah 11. This is why these people want to be us. You hate us because you ate us. I just steal that from my man Michael Rappaport. You hate us because you ate us. You hate us because you ate us. Don't be coming around asking for loans, man. I ain't never asked you motherfucker for a loan. All right? Anyway, let's come on back. I wanted to get into the chat. See, I got caught up in this. I got caught up in the rapture of love. Here we go. Here we go. Let's listen to some more. Let's get some of this good food.
And around the world, wherever they're going to be saved at. Because once that trumpet blows, that brings in the destruction, the devastation, the judgment. All right? So going back, dominion changes hands. What was promised becomes enforced. And that's what we're witnessing right now. The enforcement, or the signs that Yahushua is about to enforce his kingdom on the planet Earth and remove these foul, wicked, heathen empires. That's why many say we are close. Exactly. But once this trumpet sounds, there's no delay phase left. Number 3, he shall reign forever, means no return to the old system. See? Yeah, after 1,000 years, they're going to come and take us, and then, we're going to go back into captivity. No. Once Yahushua reigns, it's going to be forever. There's not going to be a return to the old system. And either these guys are blinded, they took the bag, or they just love oppression. Why would you even think like that? You ain't catch enough hell? You like being under Esau's foot? You want to go back into captivity under Esau for another 1,000 years? Really? Either that bag must have been really nice, you're blind, or you love oppression, or all three. Anyways, no cycles, no resets, no new empires. Bottom line, once Yahushua's empire is established, it's going to be forever. Ain't going to be no changing of the guards after that. It says this isn't reform, it's replacement. This is going to be the real replacement theology. How people connect this to now, those who believe the kingdom is near usually point to global instability. And we see that global instability how? From the economic or the currencies that are used economically to trade in the world. Has the world in a quagmire. Has the world separated. Has the world in a turmoil. No scrambling to find other options for the economy. Find other solutions to opt out of the treasury bonds and the US dollar and all of that stuff. It says moral inversion, good called evil, evil good. And don't we see that? You could, free love, you could, just listen to the apostles, free love and the bishop, free love and all that bullshit that they push. More, come as you are and all that crap. They're calling evil good and good evil. You know, just do whatever you want to do. Do as thou wilt. Nations weakening while centralized control increases. What's the centralized control? These international banking families taking over everything. Let me see something. What are the 6 major companies that control all other corporations? Let's see if they're going to tell the truth. While no single set of 6, you goddamn lying bastards. And they're going to give you this bullshit. Let's see something. What is Black Rock and State Street about? BlackRock, world's largest asset manager, 12.5 trillion. And State Street are massive.
All owned by the small hats, the tiny tops. They run everything. Them motherfuckers run the world.
American multinational financial institutions, often dubbed part of the Big Three, along with Vanguard. So why you ain't give me that? I asked you for the 6. You ain't give me shit. There's no single. Well, now you're telling me that there's 3 major corporations which you've been talking about: BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. And I'm not sure. I think BlackRock is the top. And
you gotta trap this bitch. You gotta trap this bitch.
Vanguard is either second and State Street third, you know, or vice versa. And then BlackRock owns stock in Vanguard. Let me see something. Does BlackRock own stock in State Street or Vanguard? Yes. BlackRock holds stocks in State Street Corporation, acting as one of its top institutional stakeholders. Shareholders, holding 8.71% as of September 2025. There's no update on it. However, BlackRock does not own stock in Vanguard because Vanguard is not a publicly traded company. So here it is. You got the 3 top corporations: BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. And the top corporation, BlackRock, owns stocks in State Street. Why? Because they're all the same. And BlackRock, let me see. How many corporations does BlackRock have stock in? BlackRock, as the world's largest asset manager with roughly 10 trillion in AUM, I guess annual something, holds stocks in thousands of corporations globally, often ranking as a top shareholder in over 88% of S&P 500 companies.
They rule the world. Hey, good for them. This is their world. Good for them. I have no problem with them ruling the world. This is their time. But their time is coming to an end. You know? Psalms 149, 5 and 6. They're going to lose everything. Because he read the scripture in Ecclesiastes 10. Translated from one nation or one kingdom to the next. And they know that the next kingdom to rule, they know that they're Edomites. They know that they're the Edomites. That's why when you questioning about the Edom, go to Google or whatever about the Edomites. I did one video where I put in the descendants of the Edomites Arabs, and they say yes, the Edomites mingle themselves with the Arabs. Now I know where they got that from. They did get that from the scriptures because Esau did marry a Ishmaelite and a Canaanite. It doesn't tell you why he married a Canaanite, but it was against the wishes of Isaac and Rebekah. Now it doesn't tell you, but you have to do a thing called extrapolate. He married a Canaanite because the Canaanites were dark, obviously dark, and he wanted to get that pigment back because it was a shame to come out looking like that. When you see Jake with that, with what do they call it, alopecia and albinoism, they used to call it. They don't use that word too much. You see certain Jakes, man, they'll be dark skinned, and then you'll see them, their body's dark skinned, but their face is white, and it's like they're wearing a mask. And that's what that is a autoimmune disease. That's your immune system that you gotta reset. You can reset it. That you gotta change your diet up, change your lifestyle, and you gotta reverse and jumpstart your immune system. It's your immune system attacking you. So the result of that is your pigment goes.
So that means that there's only 12% of those corporations that trade on the stock market that BlackRock doesn't own, at least a share in. It says data indicates over 5,000 distinct holdings in its portfolio with major investments in tech giants like Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Amazon. Come on, man. So as we read here, nations weakening while centralized control increases. And that's why the scriptures speak about this devil in Habakkuk chapter 2. And we always go to this, the same scripture. They ain't going to change. Matter of fact, let's go to the NLT. It says, wealth is treacherous, and the arrogant are never at rest. They open their mouths as wide as the grave, and like death, they are never satisfied. In their greed, they have gathered up many nations and swallowed up many peoples. And done what? Taken all of their resources, or the majority of them, or a good portion of them.
I'm going to ask Google a question. How much is BlackRock worth? Okay. BlackRock Inc. Market capitalization 175 plus billion. And the stock, the share is over 1,000. A list of companies that BlackRock owns. Let me do that again. A list of companies that BlackRock owns. BlackRock is the world's largest asset manager, not an owner of companies in a traditional sense, but it holds a significant equity. We are part of the company, like whether it be 51%. In that world, it's not like you own something; you have stock in it. You have stock in a company, and you can. They'll give you they won't give you 51%, so you're the owner of the company, because you're the chief stockholder. So they always leave it, and unless you do a hostile takeover on a financial level, or merged the companies together, stakes in thousands of firms, and have and on behalf of clients, key massive holdings including Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, Alphabet, Meta, which is Facebook formerly, and Tesla. So a super rich guy doesn't have to own, oh, I own this company, that company. All they got to do is put stock in it. And if they don't want you to put stock in it, you get an agent. Like the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds became super rich because they had agents buying stock for them. Anyway, that's little information. Give me a second here.
Let's go to Micah 2. Excuse me. And let's go to the NLT. 2 and 1. NLT. What sorrow awaits you who lie awake at night, thinking of evil plans? You rise up at dawn and hurry to carry them out, simply because you have the power to do so. And how did they get that power? They stole it. They manipulated it. You know, they cheated people out of their, resources.
Or used their military might. That's how they really took things over. They got the initial money from, using the sword, so to speak. And when you have, you got certain people that became rich through their wickedness, schemes and so forth, and that they have so much money they don't have to steal no more. They can be respectable people. They buy in the stock, and they're involved in insider trading. That's what these politicians. Congress has the right to get inside information from the stock market. That's why they go being worth nothing. All of a sudden they're millionaires. All them Congress people are millionaires. That's why why you think the Senate gets old? They get old. They fucking die because they making money. All they do is go to the meeting, sit down, Senate hearing, talk some shit, and they get paid. And they do a lot of backdoor deals.
Resources out of their land, by promising them, to build up their.
Oh, what they do too is they donate. Like we used to go all the time. We used to go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and you would go up the stairs, and it would be benefactors. Now, what is a benefactor? A benefactor donates money to that museum. They donate millions of dollars or billions of dollars. Now, you know why they do that? They do it because it's a tax write-off. So you're giving donations, and you pretty much own part of the place in the background, and it's a tax write-off. No, I donated this, and I do. What do you think philanthropists are all about? They give money, and that shit is all a tax write-off. So they pay very little taxes. The paintings, these paintings that these rich people get, they get it, they buy it, the painting goes, the price of the painting goes up, then they donate it to a museum, and then they write it off on their taxes. These devils, man, they know what they fucking doing. They don't give you those secrets to Jake. But Jake is now waking up. Anyway, and I wanted to get into that question.
The infrastructure, or by lending them money through the IMF at exorbitant, prices.
IMF, World Bank. What is this called? There's another term. There's another acronym. What is it? I forget the daggone term. But it's similar to the IMF and the World Bank. It's right on the tip of my tongue. And they say those corporations are above the law. They're above the law. The feds are pretty much above the law because they can set what a dollar's supposed to be worth through the head of the Federal Reserve. The Bank of International Settlements is also like the IMF. You can go into that, and they're above the law. They can do it. What if they above the law? No, who gonna get them? They above the law. These motherfuckers are above. The Rothschilds, the super elite. They're above the law.
To pay back, interest, and what happens? Those nations, when they default on their loans, which they know that they're going to do, they have to end up selling off portions of their resources, their land. So
through the IMF, they go to countries, they give them a loan. The president gets a loan, he gets a palace. The people are dirt poor. Then when it's time to pay back the loan, he can't pay it back, so the collateral is a part of that land. They know that there's resources of gold, silver, what is that called? Bauxite, I think it's called. What is it? To make batteries, lithium. They go to these different countries because of the resources in those countries. Africa, the Middle East, a lot of resources in the earth.
So on and so forth. And eventually these devils go in there and slowly but surely take over everything. And this is why this one devil that brother's been talking about, he said that all of the so-called white European countries, everyone wants to flow and flock to them. They don't want to flock to other countries where people of color are. Yeah, because you've exploited all of those fucking lands, you goddamn devil. So it says the NLT, when you want a piece of land, you find a way to seize it. What they do in Venezuela, they just took the shit. Now down in Brazil, in the Amazon.
Yeah, they just took it. I'm going to show you. Nero admits that he took it. He said, I took that shit. Let me see. Let me do it this way. I'll come back. There's a fair use, fair use, fair use. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Anyway, let me go. I was showing Apostle Gabar and Bishop Sakaran. This is in Thailand, in Pattaya. And them women look like Simeonite women, boy. Them brothers are going, oh, shit. Yeah, baby. And that's the dose. That's the real dose. Inside joke. Anyway, let me do this. Where's the shorts? Okay, I'm gonna show you what Donald Trump said. He admitted it. He finally admitted it, even though the whole world saw it. Fair use, fair use, fair use. There he goes. There he goes. He's gonna admit it, cause Trump is hood, bro.
Stole that shit. That's what I do, nigga. Fuck, nigga, I stole that shit. And I stole it, like, bro, but niggas don't understand. I talk facts. Vlad, I talk facts.
Oh, you're right. Don't even deny it. That's cool.
Nigga, I talk facts. What deny? What, nigga? Give me that, nigga. You don't know. Stole that shit. That's what I do, nigga. Fuck, nigga, I stole that shit. And I stole it, like, bro, but niggas don't understand. I talk facts. Vlad, I talk facts.
Oh, you're right. Don't even deny it. That's cool.
Nigga, I talk facts. What deny? What, nigga? Give me that, nigga. You don't know. Stole that shit. That's what I do, nigga.
So we got the receipts on him. So if he says he didn't steal it, we got the receipts. Let's come on back. Just having a little fun here. Gotta have a little fun. Gotta have a little fun in life, even though you're in hell. Okay, let me go right here. Back to here. Okay, leave this alone. Give me a second. Okay, let's come back over here.
Jungles.
And I wanted to get into the chat. I asked a question. James What's GMS take on James chapter 5?
They'll cause all kind of havoc down there to the indigenous people in those living in those regions, so that they can go in there and take it. They've got these fires going on down there, and I believe that's in Chile, because there's a particular land down there, I think it's called Patagonia, that they want. And what are they doing? They're causing all these fires so they can take over out there in what was that, Hawaii, one of those. Any of you brothers that's on the comment board, if you know exactly the places that it was, I think it was either Hawaii or one of those islands out there where they caused all, those fires that happened.
Yeah, they're going to build this resort out there, like the Riviera of Hawaii. They're trying to buy people out there wouldn't sell them the land, so they burn them out. Now we know people are waking up. We are not ignorant to Satan's devices. They shall tell on themselves. They shall how's it going in Isaiah? I mean not Isaiah, Psalm 64. Their tongue shall fall upon themselves. I'm merely paraphrasing. So you got John Todd. And you can probably find John Todd on YouTube. If not YouTube, Odyssey, or even Rumble. John Todd was an insider, and he came out and he told. And they said that they killed him. Because he came, this is back in the 70s. Now, I got that cassette tape from Yaikwab. Yaikwab gave me the cassette. You know, them little compact cassettes. Let's go on. James 5 is so important. James chapter 5 is so very important.
So what? So that they can come in there and take those lands because they want those lands. So they got to set up something, whether it's a coup, whether it's, an uprising, whether it's, resistance, civil unrest, or whether it's some kind of natural disaster to, give an excuse to roll up in there and take it over. So NLT, when you want a piece of land, this is Micah 2:2, you find a way to seize it. When you want someone's house, you take it by fraud and violence. You cheat a man of his property, stealing his family's inheritance. So you're centralizing everything so that you can get all of the benefits and take away the rights of all of the people and keep them in constant debt.
And then tell the world you're righteous.
Devastating wildfires in Maui, Hawaii, which severely impacted the town of Lithuania. The wildfires in Maui, Hawaii, the people, and keep them in constant debt. The devastating wildfires in Maui, Hawaii, which
Maui, and that was on the Mountain Dew. The Mountain Dew, something Maui was named the Maui Blast or whatever. Now Mountain Dew, that company, Dew means direct energy weapons. So they don't lie. They hide it in plain sight. Dew, direct energy weapon system,
which severely impacted the town of Lithuania, occurred in 2023. Yeah. And why do they do that? Because there's something there that they want.
That's going to be the Riviera of Hawaii. You have people, all these investors coming in, Oprah and other people invested in that. Because they're going to tear all that shit down, and they're going to build luxury houses out there for the super rich. Same thing goes with Gaza. They're going to build luxury resorts and so forth and houses for the super rich. Gaza is going to be the Riviera of Levant. You got the what is it? What the hell is that? In Arabia, United Arab Emirates and so forth. Dubai, that's where you got a lot of jakes in the hip hop world, boxers that go there. That's a vacation spot for the super rich.
So they're going to cause instability, whether it's a so-called natural disaster or upheaval or civil unrest or whatever the case may be, to make something happen so that they can go in there and get what they want under the pretense of helping the people. So let's go back. So one of the way that that this scripture is connected to it. Nations weakening while centralized control increases. The international bank is taken over. They see those as precursors, not the kingdom itself, right? Because they're signs. A sign is not the actual event. A sign is something that comes before the event, a warning that the event is coming. Prepare yourself. Watch as well as pray. So it says important distinction. Revelation 11:15 doesn't say when, and we never said that. We're asking, is it close? It says what will happen. Scripture consistently avoids giving dates, but emphasizes readiness and alignment. Exactly. And that's what I'm asking you. I didn't ask you all of that. And I told you, if I say I didn't ask for exact dates, I didn't give exact dates. I asked, is it near? And I did that before. Oh yeah, you're right. And I apologize for that. Shut the fuck up. So if your original question is Yahweh Shai's kingdom close? From this verse perspective, the message is yes. The message is the kingdom is certain. The transfer is sudden. Be prepared before the announcement, not after it. So I threw in Revelation 19:11. Notice I didn't say anything. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he does judge and make war, because this is a part of the way that Yahweh Shai is going to bang on the beast. By waging war upon him. It's going to be the nuclear missiles that's going to take this place out, plus the lasers from the chariots of Yahweh Shai and the other angels. Now, whether all of those other chariots come off, as I forget what those are called, and they break off from the fathership, and actually, are more. The most intense recent fire in Los Angeles was oh shit. Yep, and I remember that. I was thinking about that too. The most intense, let me just pull it up. It says the most intense recent fire in Los Angeles was the Palisades fire, which began on January 7, 2025 in Santa Monica Mountains. Yeah, because that's what they wanted. Argentina and Chile are currently burning down. Right, the fires have been set by, yep, you see it, small hats, tourists visiting national parks. Not by mistake, they are burning down La Patagonia. Yeah, because they want that. And I wouldn't be surprised if they have their eyes set on that, because they know that shit's going down over there in the land of Israel, so they're gonna have to find a place to flee. And they saw that place and they said it's a beautiful place and we want it.
No, that's gonna be like I said, the Riviera of Palace. The Levant. That's just going to be luxury apartments and stuff like that. That's all that's going to be. It's a real estate deal, because my man, Trump is a real estate guy. He works through his son-in-law. What's the guy's name? Kushner. He's a real estate guy too, so he's behind that. So they're a dynasty. The Trumps is a dynasty, powerful family. That's all. That's just a money-making thing. Everything he thinks about is how to make more money. That's all. That's why when I'm watching this, I'm thinking about James. And like I said, I went to James last night, but I didn't get a chance to read it. So I went to chat. Not going to be too much longer. So it says James 5. I asked, what's the GMS Israelites take on James 5? James 5, go to now, ye rich men. GMS take, this is not talking about rich Israelites or rich people in general. The rich men equal Edom or Edomites, i.e. modern Western elite, a so-called white power structure. Their riches are tied to slavery. That's how they became rich, through slaves, through jakes. That's how this country became great, off of cheap labor. Colonialism is just another fancy way of saying slavery. They took the land. They took the resources of the land. Canada, U.S., Central and South America. Economic oppression of Israel. So-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans. So that's the whole Western Hemisphere, including Greenland. Greenland is like 90% Jake. That's Gad all up in there. With a couple of Edomites that's ruling shit. But that's mostly Gad up in there. Gad is all up in Canada. Gad is up there in Alaska. The Eskimos are Israelites. Your gold and silver is cankered. Their wealth is ill-gotten and cursed. Right. That money, they call it blood money. You know, the mafia, they look down on the mafia guy because you got it through, corruption. You killed a couple of people, you stole this, you intimidated that. Well, that's what the Romans did. What the mob does on a small scale, that's what the Romans did. You had to pay tribute. The Italian mafioso, what they'll do is they'll tell you, oh, we're taking care of the neighborhood. No, I got my own security. Then they bust up the place, and then they'll say, see, if you had a security, you paid security, you'd be all right. Then they wound up paying them. It says the cries are entered into the ears of Yahweh. Israel's suffering has reached its limit. So that's why we pushing this thing. So you jakes out there on TikTok that come against what we're saying, you're not going to make it. You don't know what's going on. You can't see the kingdom. You can't see the fact that you're going to be on top. You don't see any of that. You don't see that you're Israelites. And that includes Anton Daniels, talking about he a Christian. You got to qualify to be a Christian, you got to be an Israelite first. You can't be you can't be a Hamite and be a Christian. You can't be an Ishmaelite and be a Christian. The qualification of becoming a Christian, you have to be an Israelite. This passage is read, but they don't know, Christians don't know. This passage is read as a direct condemnation of the current global ruling class. Who is the current global ruling class? We read about BlackRock, and they're worth like almost, 200 billion. And anyway, it says a ruling class and a prophecy of their imminent downfall. Their imminent downfall. James 5, verse 7 and 11. Patience of the brother section. The elect, James swearing. Prayer. Big picture. The wicked elite Edom are on trial. Yes, they're all trial. When we speak about them, they don't like it, but they're on trial. Israel is told your suffering is justified. Your oppressors are marked for judgment. The end is extremely close. Comfort is not for all humanity, because we're going to get the comfort only for the elect Israelites. Compare this with mainstream Christian interpret. I don't need that. Break down how other Israelite camps read James. They should read the same way. Or show how GMS ties this chapter into Revelation, Obadiah, Isaiah. Just say it. So let me try that. It's been snowing all day. When I got up like 7 in the morning, it was snowing. They said this ain't gonna stop until hopefully Sunday night. It might be Monday 3 in the morning or Monday 7 in the morning. So we're talking about a straight 24 hours of snow that we got to worry about digging out. I'm going to read this, see what the Spirit takes me. I make close and I'll be back. As Honor would say, I'll be back. All right, let's zoom out and show the GMS prophetic web, how James 5 gets locked into Revelation, Obadiah, and Isaiah, and they're teaching. This is basically how they argue it on the street and in sit-downs. Right, sit-downs. Yeah, y'all know about the what's up with the sit-downs? James 5 to Revelation, Judgment of Babylon, and the elite. It says James 5:1. Go to now, rich men weep and howl. GMS links Revelation 18. Revelation, one of my favorite chapters. Revelation 18, Babylon the Great, identified as America. The rich man of James equals Revelation 18 verse 3, merchants made rich. Actually, these are these other nations that made, like the China became rich through America. America, the leader America already had the riches. Revelation 18:9-17, kings and merchants weeping as Babylon burns. Number one is going to be China. We lost all the suckers because they buy shit just to be buying it. That's why they gave credit out to regular people. You had to be a special dude to get. Look, I couldn't get credit even if I tried. I wasn't trying, but I remember I had used credit to get a phone. I got phones for a couple people, and it took a year later. I got good credit, so when I went to get something else, your name would pop up. This chick would tell me, this is Edomite chick. She said, "Damn, you must have good credit because your name just popped right up. That means you got good credit." So anyway, it says. So my point is this: there was a point in time where it was hard to get credit, but now they're just giving it out to anybody. Because why? Because they're gonna get most of the money back and they insure it. All right. It says James isn't moralizing wealth. He's announcing Babylon's death sentence. When they go to eat, sit down to eat, Job 20, that's when the Most High going to deal with them. You have heaped treasure together for the last days. GMS angle. Last days, a literal and time window, parallel with Revelation 13, global economic control, Revelation 17, 18, or chapter 18 and 17 and 18, final consolidation of wealth before destruction. That goes back to Job 20. The rich stack wealth right before Yahushua destroys it. That's Job 20. When they go sit down to eat, then the Most High is going to jack them up. James 5:5. Ye have lived in pleasure, nourish your hearts as in a day of slaughter. What does it mean as of a day of slaughter? In the ancient world, when you had a feast, the animal that you ate, it was walking around about 10 hours before that. When the Passover, the sheep, the male sheep is walking around, and at the 10th day of the month, you would get the part of the preparation would be killing the slaughter and clean the animal out. And then on that, before the sun went down, on the 14th day, going to evening, the lamb would have to be cooked. And then you start eating. And by the way, when you looked up into the sky, there was a full moon, which was 2 weeks into the new moon. So again, Bishop Nate is going off. But because he is a toad, as we were talking about last night, Gabar brings that up. When we went to Yale, there was a series of statues of different levels of knowledge. And you had I think the monkey was the first. And then you had, I think you had the turtle. Then you had the toad. The toad is stubborn. Like Bishop Nate is a toad. He's definitely a toad. You know? Because he'll break down the scripture. We'll do a script. He'll break down the scripture. We'll do a show showing him that he went off on it, but he's not going to change it because he's a toad in the spirit. And we would be more of an owl or a dragon. There's levels to this thing, and Esau knows that. That's why Esau is able to control the world, because they don't understand the concept of the super elite rich. They'll tell you Elon Musk is worth 150 billion. Oh, he's the richest man in the world. No. There's old money. We're talking about the Oppenheimers, the Schiffs, the Warburgs, the Rothschilds. When the Rothschilds were coming up, they came up under the Oppenheimers. So that's old money. If you were super rich 500 years ago, you're still rich. You got all your children are rich. They come into money. They're born into money. You born into money. You're a billionaire when you're born. You know, you got tutors. They show you that in the movie, the Last Emperor of China. If you can get that movie, it's 3 hours long, but it's a great movie. It shows you how the ruling class deals. A great movie, man. That's Jake all the way, but not really Jake, but Moab learned from us. It said this verse is often emphasized hard in GMS breakdowns. James 5, Obadiah, Edom's final judgment. See, it keeps speaking about Edom, the Edomites. Obadiah is huge in GMS doctrine, and James 5 gets folded right into it. James 5, 1-6, identified target Edom. Now, it doesn't say Edom at all in James 5, but we know that it's talking about Edom, the rich. The pride of thine heart have deceived thee, the rich man, are Edomites ruling from high places. Their arrogance, global dominance, the super rich rule behind the scenes. That's why you don't know. Somebody said this is Rothschild. Who the hell is Rothschild? Who's this guy Oppenheimer? Who's this guy Schiff? I don't know these people. They're rich people? No, they're not the richest people because you don't know. You're not privy to this information. The higher the laborers crieth. Now it says, let me keep reading. The higher the laborers crieth because they were taken out by fraud. The fraud is this, that the money that you were getting is worth nothing now. Because they created dollars. They used to say print dollars, but they create dollars out of thin air and they put it in circulation. And what happens? The value of the dollar goes down. So people, the prices keep going up. No, dummy. If you knew economics, the value of your dollar is going down. You don't know. It's a simple thing. Simple. It's not hard. But then you watch us and we break this stuff down, and you say, you guys, the Most High ain't dealing with you guys. Obadiah 1:10. For the violence against thy brother Jacob. Who's that? The violence against who? Jacob? Who's the perpetrator? The Edomites. It opens up with the Edomites, Esau. Labor exploitation, right? Kept back by fraud, devaluing the dollar like they did in the Roman Empire. Modern slavery, wage salary, which is modern slavery. The cry equals blood guilt, going back to the chattel slavery. Deuteronomy 28:68. GMS says this is a covenant blood vengeance, not social justice. James 5:6. I'm almost done. Bear with me for a minute. James 5:6. You have condemned and killed the just. We are the just. Not you got guys teaching like these guys. Genesis, they're saying, Cornelius was an Israelite. I mean, an Edomite, but he was a just Edomite. There ain't no such thing as just. The Most High created Esau to be wicked. He created him to be wicked. So if there's an Edomite that's just, he's just doing justice, that shows that the Most High is not perfect. That's what that shows. The Most High created Esau to be the devil, the wicked, the left-hand side. So how can one Edomite say, no, I'm going to show the Most High that I'm just? Hence, you got Cornelius. Why you think we say Genesis sold out? Then you got this guy, Divine Prospect, talking about Obadiah 1:18. It's not talking about literal. We're not going to literally destroy Edomites. It's figure, which poetic too, but they're going to be. It says that Judah and Ephraim, they're going to become a fire and a flame. We're not literally, so that is poetic. We're just going to get rid of them. But let's say that we were wrong on that. I don't mind kicking Esau in the ass forever. I have no problem with that. Oh, we get to kick Esau's ass forever? Good. Obadiah 1:18, the house of Jacob shall be as a fire, Esau as stubble. That's poetic right there. We're not going to go flame on and all of a sudden Judah got fire around him. We're going to hug Edomites. No. We're going to get rid of them. They that have seen him shall see him no more. Job chapter 20. It says Israel doesn't resist yet. Judgment comes after. Let me see. Israel doesn't resist yet. Judgment comes after Yahushua return. Power flips completely. Thank you. Power, reversal of power, reversal of fortune. Here it is. I said reversal, right? You on top. Now you're going to be the Most High going to flip. Most High going to spiritually flip everything around. James 5, Isaiah, oppression, reversal of power, reversal of judgment. The movie Trading Places was what? About a reversal of power. The stock guy that played by Dan Aykroyd, he became a fucking bum. He was on a bus eating a piece of fish, all fucked up. You know? And Eddie Murphy's character, he was a scam and he was a bum out in the street. He's homeless. Then all of a sudden he became this top stock guy. You know? And it was a bet between the Mortimers, and they said they bet it for $1. So then he was privy to it, and that movie was put up by produced by Aaron Russo. All right. Israel is used to show that James 5 is not new doctrine, just end time application. Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Matter of fact, I'm gonna ask that question. This is all right. So you got to know how to ask chat. And if chat gets naughty, you got to straighten. You know, I didn't say that, chat. I ain't say that. What did I say I was going to do? Anyway, let me do this. I was going to ask another question, but let me go ahead and do this.
Well, your suffering is going to be legendary. So it says exactly, Revelation 19:11 is the answer to Revelation 11:15. And Revelation 11:15 is the announcement of the kingdom transfer. And Revelation 19:11 is the enforcement of it. I saw heaven open and a white horse, a faithful and true, and in righteousness he does judge and make war. A few things to notice that matter a lot. Heaven opens, not peace talks, not negotiations. Because there ain't going to be no negotiating. How did this devil get America? How did he get Canada, Mexico, Central America, South America, the Caribbean islands, so-called? How did he get them? There were no negotiations. You just took it. So Yahushua is coming to take it back. How about that? Heaven opens, not peace talks, not negotiations. This isn't Yahushua coming to debate, reform, or persuade. He comes as king and what? Judge. The world systems don't step down willingly. They're removed. Exactly. Because if that was the case, these devils would have been packed their bags, and came in chains. And said, no, we give up, it's the futile effort, we're just going to just go into captivity now, tell, Yahushua could come, and come get us now. They're not going to do that. That's why it says that they were afraid, but yet there's fight, because the Lord is going to put the spirit in them to fight. It says the white horse, righteous conquest. In ancient imagery, a king on a horse means active rule, military authority, public victory. You dig? Just like in Revelation 6:1 and 2. That's Yahushua. Not no damn so-called white man. And the number, the B666, is not 666 Edomite men. As an ISUPK teacher, I don't know if they still teach that bullshit.
Yeah, well, they clueless. They're clueless. They're completely clueless. If they're hearing me, they're fucking clueless. Don't know what the fuck is going on with that thing. You know when they're going to wake up? When it comes to pass. And I pray and I hope that these guys are not blindly following the leadership, man. It's like I keep saying. This is about the 50th time I said this. It's going to be a big major shakeup.
This isn't spiritual symbolism only. its visible intervention. Judge and make war. That line destroys the idea of a purely passive return. Yeah, because they got Yahushua painted, like that fairy in these paintings, that Edomite looking individual. That he's like he's sweet or something like that. You're gonna find out that ain't nothing sweet about Yahushua. It says judgment equals legal authority. War equals forceful execution of that judgment. So right now we're what? In the sentencing stage, the very ending of the sentencing stage. After that comes the enforcement of the execution of that judgment by Yahushua. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So the kingdom doesn't arrive by vote, revival, or evolution. It arrives by overthrow. Dig it? Time connection. Revelation flows like this. Revelation 11:15. Kingdoms become his. Kingdoms become his. Legal declaration. 1911. He rides forth to take possession. 1915 through 16. Nations are struck. He reigns as King of Kings. That's why many believe we are not waiting on the kingdom to form. We're waiting on it to be revealed. And in the waiting of it to be fully revealed, we're watching for what? The signs that dictate that we're in this time period. And one of the major signs would be a system in place where no one would be able to buy or sell except they had their micro chip in them, which is the MOTB. But these other major groups that fought us for all these years are now kind of coming around and sliding and slipping and wiggling their so-called breakdowns in there to when it does actually happen, they could say that we've always been talking about it. Y'all just haven't been paying attention. Yeah, all right. Let the record reflect. So is the kingdom close? According to this framework, the kingdom is already prepared. Authority is already assigned. What's left is the moment when heaven opens. So, yes, Yahushua is going to crack the clouds. As that demon Frankie said, Sanetta. And scripture consistently describes that moment as sudden, disruptive, unmistakable. Not gradual, not secret. Now, my next question was, why did the disciples ask Yahushua about the end of the world? Matthew 24:3. If there weren't signs to look for, pointing to the end of the world. Good question, and you're right to press on. They wouldn't have asked if there were no signs. Yahushua himself acknowledges that.
I want to do something real quick. I want to put in the phrase end of the world. And also maybe last days. And we going, a lot of us going in these prophecies. End of the world. Excuse me, y'all. I just had to gargle. Get this salty taste out of my mouth. Anyway, so I looked up, he mentioned the end of the world, so I looked it up. Psalm 19:4. End of the world, that means the line is going through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. If we're in the Middle East, if a prophet says something, the psalmist says something happened, he's in the East. So when he says the end of the world, that's talking about the Western Hemisphere. Isaiah 62:11, behold, Yahweh have proclaimed unto the end of the world, the other end of the earth. It's not talking about end of the world in time, it's talking about distance. Say ye to the daughter of Zion, which is on the end of the earth, other end of the earth, behold, thy salvation cometh. From where? From the end of the earth. Behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him. Matthew 13:39. The enemy have sold them. The enemy that sold them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. Let me go ahead and open that up. That's a parable, but it's prophetic, a prophetic parable. They asked him, what do these things mean? Declare unto us the parable, which is a prophecy. He, Yahweh Shai, if you click red letter, it'll come up. He answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man, Yahweh Shai. The field is the world, because we scattered throughout the whole planet. The good seed are the children of the kingdom. That's the Israelites, so I'm with the elect. But the tares are the children of the wicked one, the other nations, starting with Esau. The enemy that soweth them is the devil, the spiritual demon Satan, working with Esau. The harvest is the what? The end of the world. And the reapers are the angels, as therefore the tares are gathered in bundles and in the burned in the fire. Malachi, Malachi 4:1. The day that cometh that shall burn as an oven. So shall it be in the end of the world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity, and shall cast them into a furnace. The day shall come that shall burn as an oven of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine. That's the kingdom. We're going to literally have a shine about us. That's in Daniel 12. Forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father, who have ears to hear, let them hear. So that was a parable, but it was really a prophecy. This is amazing, man. This is why the Christians they can't get it. They cannot get it. Let me come on back. So sometimes the end of the world is talking about the other end of the earth. This is beautiful. 49th verse, same chapter. So shall it be at the end of the world, the angels shall come forth and sever the wicked from among the just. Matthew 24:3, right? And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? The world is age. The end of the Roman Empire. Back basic foundational scriptures. 28, teaching them to observe. Teaching who? All nations. Meaning the Israelites scattered among all nations, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you, and lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. That's a time period. Hebrews 9:26. For then must he offend. For then must he offend often have suffered since the foundation of the world. That's why it says in that same scripture in the 9th chapter of Hebrews, it is appointed unto man once to die. The man appointed once to die is talking about Yahweh Shai, that he gonna come down there. Christians break that down wrong. It is appointed unto man once to die, so you only die once, and you either go to heaven or hell. That's not talking about man in general. It's talking about Yahweh Shai. Like I said, you guys do not understand them scriptures. Anyway, I'm going to say shalom on to the next. And let me do this. You can watch the rest of this. I urge you to watch the rest of this. Anyway, shalom on to the next. Shalom.